Hello, my friends. Welcome. Today let's talk about the divine masculine. And we'll talk a little bit about the divine feminine, which is what I was about to say. But let's start with the divine masculine and where we could find examples of this in modern culture. And it's harder to do. There's some in scripture, of course. Those were greats. There's no doubt about it. But nonetheless, human beings still retain this memory of what that is throughout time and space, regardless of who they give us to worship, no matter what. And so we can find it even in modern culture. It's there. And one of my favorites is Star Trek, the original series, Kirk and Spock. Kirk and Spock represent two halves of the divine masculine. So Kirk, being emotional, could feel his way through situations, whereas Spock, the original, not the crybaby one, but the original one, could unemotionally, without emotion, observe what was happening, right? And so this is what we need to have today, because we need to have that observance without the emotion. We need to understand what's happening, why are they trying to stir us all up? And they are very hard. They're doing a lot of stuff, throwing a lot of crazy stuff out here. And so one of the things to do, it doesn't mean you have to agree with it. It just means you need to start looking at it without emotion to say, what is it? What is it really? What is it? Just what is it? Why do they eat the babies? Why do they do that? There's a reason. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it. It just means just look at it and say, what is this? What's going on? Or why are they putting all these immigrants on us and making us feel guilty that it's our responsibility to take care of non-citizens? We don't get that kind of treatment in their country. So, why is it unfair for us? And so if you just look at it, you start looking at it, and there's a reason. You don't have to agree. And so going back to Kirk and Spock, Kirk would feel his way through situations. That was his advantage. And then Spock would observe his way through the situations. And if you put them both together, you get the divine masculine. In observance of what is, it doesn't mean you agree. It just means you can observe it. What is it? What's going on? What is it? And then the emotional response. How does this feel? Does it feel right? Does it feel wrong? Does it feel like fear? Does it feel like love? What does it feel like? And so you need both halves of that. Everyone likes to talk about the divine feminine being wounded, and it's heavily wounded. But the divine masculine was wounded first, so to speak. That's what fell. The divine feminine tried to hold space for the divine male, and they couldn't. And once that happened, it really got out of balance. There's no comparison, but yes, the divine feminine is probably wounded much more so than the masculine, but the masculine was also wounded. So the wounds go both ways. And as a male like me, you're going to want to come into balance again with these things, to where you can hold space for the divine feminine to arise, and she needs to. And we need to hold space for that, but we must understand our role and what we need to do in order to hold space for that healing to occur. So join me, and I invite you to come and check out my channel and other content, and we'll work together and see what we can do.